recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank all of you for being here today. I'm going to start with General Rounds. General, first of all, thank you for your service to our country. I had the privilege of serving as chair of higher education in State Senate of Georgia when I was in the state legislature. So higher education is very important to me, and I want to know the impact that this is going to have on higher education. In fact, I think it's only appropriate that this committee know the impact. After all, we are education and workforce, and after all, we have dealt and continue to deal with increased student debt. We've continued to deal with all of the things that do with student loans, and those are things that are very important to us. I want to know because the American Council on Education released a statement on May 17th talking about the effects that this could have on higher education, and I quote, "It could have a combination of tuition increases, service reductions, and possibly layoffs." Do you find that to be true, General Rounds?
I do find all of those assertions to be possible. And one of the things that I would like to read that I have available is a statement from our Vice Provost, who is responsible for providing student services. And I think this is very compelling. What he says is what the new rule really does is impede our ability to customize and personalize the educational process beginning from the time a student initiates an inquiry to the time they depart or graduate. The level of personalization or customization has been a source of sustainable competitive advantage for us in a highly competitive environment, as we have emphasized and benefited from focusing on the relational versus the transactional aspects of the work. This rule directly impedes our ability to build these relationships. In addition, I think it is a direct contradiction to the national completion agenda, as a student access to and availability of academic and support personnel and services will be reduced. KU needs to highlight that decreasing services is more than reducing operating hours. It will have a profound impact on the ability to attract, retain, and graduate students. And again, that's tied to the individuals who work with students on a reoccurring basis, many of them who are impacted by
absolutely, and we understand that, and that's one of the things that we're most concerned with. Ms. Sharby, I want to ask you, you're an HR specialist, you're an expert at this, years of experience and much expertise. How is this going to impact you as an HR person? Now, I want to know, you have until only December the 1st to comply with this. I mean, obviously, it's going to have a big impact.
Well, the biggest impact that we have right now is trying to develop a communication to our employees that we are going to have to change from exempt to non-exempt status, and how to do that in a way that they don't feel diminished. They have already spoken to me saying, what does this mean to me? How am I going to do what I want to do in order to meet the needs of the clients that we serve? So that's one of our big struggles. The other thing that we have to do is we're going to have to look at alternative ways to pay our employees. Offering overtime simply is not an option.
Okay. All right. Very quickly, I got a minute and a half left. One thing that we're missing on this panel today is small business. I'm a small businessman. November 21st, 1988, I opened my first retail pharmacy. Dream come true for me. Went to 3 banks, not to compare interest rates, but instead the first 2 turned me down. The third one finally went along with it and loaned me the money. And I want to ask you, Dr. Bernstein, how many businesses have you run in your career?
Actually, I'm running one now.
Are you?
Yeah,
is it a small business? Is this going to impact you?
I have a self-employed business, and believe me, I have
self-employed business?
Correct. I am self.
So do you have any employees?
Let me finish, please. Along with
I'll reclaim my time. Are you the only employee?
I'm trying to answer your question, sir. Yes, I have.
You're the only employee.
I work for a private employer in the nonprofit sector. I also have a self-employed business where I am the only employee, and believe me, I deal with a lot of the kinds of...
You're not going to have to comply with the overtime rule. You don't have employees.
I would be exempt from the overtime rule.
You would be exempt.
I have been part of small businesses where I did work.
From the overtime rule when I opened my business, and when I was working not 40 hours a week, not 60 hours a week. I was working 80 hours a week. I did that for at least 5 or 6 years. The first year I made nothing. The second, the third, the fourth year I made half of what I'd been making before. Now, where were those overtime rules then? There were no overtime rules then. Mr. Bernstein, Dr. Bernstein, have you ever signed the front of a paycheck? You sign the back of a paycheck. You don't sign the front of a paycheck.
No, that's
There's
not
a
true.
big difference.
That's not true. I
That is true,
various
sir.
various business
And I
endeavors
doubt
where
that
I
anyone who
had to
has had
sign
an
the
impact
front
on
of a
these
paycheck.
rules signs the front of a paycheck. They sign the back of a
I'm afraid we're
paycheck.
talking
Time
past
has
each